Good morning, all. Welcome. Happy Friday to everyone. It is March 24th, 2023, and let's dive into what we got going on today. Yesterday, into the close of the session, we had a pretty significant drop and pop, closed around the open pretty much, with some big sellers coming through the session overnight. And we're going to talk about those levels and those areas on the S&P, but first let's go over some news. We're going to be talking about TikTok, right? Owned by China's BitDance, and they've entered into a new phase, right? The U.S. government against TikTok after House hearing about the app's dangers on Thursday. So the panel, which put TikTok CEO Shu Zi Chu in the hot seat, described the gathering as a full committee hearing on TikTok's consumer privacy and data security practices, how the platform affects children, and its relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. So restrictions could be a boon for American social media rivals, including Instagram Reels, which Meta, YouTube Shorts, Google, and Snapchat Spotlight Snap. But Netflix has the biggest gainer yesterday as the media stock rallied and ripped higher. So Shu also mentioned he came out. He did a little TikTok video, right? Himself amidst all this. And what was surprising is nearly half of America uses TikTok, right? 150 million users from America alone. So TikTok collects nearly every data point imaginable, from people's location to what they type and copy, who they talk to, biometric data, and more. And committee chair Kathy McMorris Rogers said in opening remarks, "We do not trust TikTok will ever embrace American values for freedom, human rights, and innovation. TikTok has repeatedly chosen a path for more control, more surveillance, and more manipulation. Your platform should be banned." That's what she said. And remember, former President Donald Trump, already sought to ban TikTok and force sale of its U.S. business to an American company. And while a transaction with Oracle almost went through in 2020, the lawsuits pile up, and the injunction was granted to prevent the app from being outlawed. So the Biden administration later revoked the planned ban, ordering national security review in its place, but Chinese tensions and data privacy concerns eventually swept both sides of the aisle. Congress has passed a bill to outlaw the app on federal devices, as well as a probe from CFIUS, and even proposed legislation to ban the app in the US. So we'll see how this kind of shapes up. There is a lot of social media that goes through TikTok naturally. There's a lot of content creators and whatnot. A lot of people actually make good money off TikTok, which is interesting. But if that ban happens, you're probably going to see an influx of these active users, Americans, 150 million of them, into other apps, probably Meta Reels, right, which could serve a huge advantage into Meta. So we'll see how that kind of shapes up. It's going to be a slow process, realistically, banning or not banning TikTok. So we have to talk about financials as well. Looking ahead, the longer the financial conditions remain tight, the greater risk that the stresses spread beyond the banking sector, unleashing a greater financial and economic damage than we anticipate. This is from Moody's in the latest credit condition report. While fresh trouble rocketed and pumped down Deutsche Bank, right, in the pre-market action, a day earlier, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that regulators were prepared to take additional actions to ensure that American deposits are safe, after ruling out coverage that all insured deposits at the U.S. Ruling out the coverage of all uninsured deposits of the U.S. banks. This is what caused a rather steep drop yesterday into the closing bell. Um, Meanwhile, emergency borrowing under the Fed's two backstop facilities, discount window lending, and bank term funding programs reached another whopping $164 billion this week, similar to the $165 billion recorded last week. So we've seen that the Fed balance sheet was updated recently, right? Huge spike. Quantitative tightening is still going on, right? We're not in the easing cycle, but massive spikes in these, I guess, securities. That's been going on in the financial sector. There's still FRC, right? Deutsche Bank is under stress right now. Credit Suisse. There's a lot of different banks that are under stress, and even what was it? I think Bloomberg talked about 180 odd banks being in similar conditions, regional banks that could provide a tighter credit market, tighter monetary policy, And the credit spreads that are expanding means that increased volatility and increased economic volatility in general could spread throughout all the other sectors. So that's something that we do have to consider as well. Things like energy are down, right? These are, and industrials, right? These are usually the last things to tumble that really signify a peak in a recessionary cycle. So those are things that we have to watch. Another thing, right? Block yesterday, formerly known as Square. Um, Ticker symbol SQ closed the session off nearly 15% after becoming the largest target on of Heidenberg Research. The short seller claimed the company overstated its user count and understated the customer acquisition costs. So we'll see how that kind of shapes up. I was looking at that recently, but mainly just focused on what's going on with the overall market in terms of the S&P, looking at other names that might affect it. Microsoft overtook Apple, I believe, as the number one constituent in the Nasdaq. We have to watch how those names shape up. Apple and Microsoft, right together, they look very, very juicy. They're still very strong, right? They're holding up, and if tech does not curl back down, it's going to be very hard for markets to continue pressing lower. What's really, especially in what's going on in terms of the overall economic conditions, what's really interesting here is that um, a lot of offers that come in get rebid really aggressively, right? The buy side steps in on every chance it gets, and that could be the case in today's session. In terms of news, we have Fed's Bullard talking about the U.S. economy and monetary policy at 9:30 a.m. Eastern today. So go and check that out. That's going to be it's probably going to cause volatility. Realistically, it's something that you should consider. So just understand that as we open the session today. So it could be a more volatile start to a Friday. Now, in terms of a few things that we need to watch, I would say take a look at what's going on with the Russell. Russell is pulling lower. It broke some key resistance areas, and that's not a very good sign for the long side. It can test yearly lows, and that becomes very bearish for the overall market. Even though tech and triple Qs are holding up, right? Nasdaq, S&P is holding it pretty well, but it can indicate another leg to the downside. Now, for the S&P futures today, the last chance for the longs 39, 37 to 38, right? As long as they rebid above 52, I think that they can try it a little more into 65 and 72. But the fact that we're under 72 right now, the fact that we're under like the low 90s indicates that there is still some bearishness in this market. So I'm going to be watching these like mid 60s as potential sells, but see if you can look for that initial burst to the upside in attempted buying, because I think the buyers are not going to try to let this go, especially on a Friday. They're going to try in the morning session. We'll see what Bullard says, but those are a few levels that you need to watch. Above 52, there could be some long side into 65, 72. So watch those areas. 72 to 76, right? That's a key region, and see if any sellers come in from those areas. I'm going to keep it very small. I might not even trade today. I'm just going to be looking around, see if anything really sticks out. But I think maybe some buyers do try it before some sell side comes in into the end of the session, midway through the session, whatever the case may be. Usually Fridays, they don't want to close the week terribly. If we close the week really red today and we close below this 50, this 38 on the futures, expect next week to start with some more malicious downside, in my opinion. So having said that, I want to wrap this up for the week. I hope everyone had a great trading week. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you all later. Remember, check out community.tradepro academy and our live trading room for futures. So I'll see you guys there. I'll see you guys in Discord, and let's chat soon.